But that might turn out to be the last thing he ever does, cause the real hero Nice lands right in his face. With that, the scene boils as he and Ling Ling start slugging it out. Relationships are fake, rivalries are fake, and let me guess. You see a hero who has such a beautiful partner, the love of the people, so much wealth, fame and power, and then you look at your own life, having just been laid off from work. And to make it worse, ads of the perfect hero, Nice, keeps playing in front of you as if to taunt you. In this situation, what would you do? Well, in Ling Ling's case, he flips off the hero, but that might turn out to be the last thing he ever does, cause the real hero Nice lands right in his face. The scene immediately freezes, and flocks of birds come out of nowhere to make the scene even more dramatic than it already is. Then Nice walks towards him. At this point, the reality and consequences of his actions are coming to him. But then things become weird when Nice reaches him and just keeps on walking till he goes off the edge. Right in front of his eyes, the strongest hero had just performed the logout escape. From behind, his partner, who we saw on the ads, comes running with a few guards and asks where he is. A single finger shakily points over the edge and claims innocence, but is still taken by the guards on the orders of the lady. Wait, you're telling me that these guys had a bag on the ready to take this guy in? Plus they weren't holding the bag when they arrived, so where did it come from? Hey man, you can't be pulling shit out of your ass like that, man. Yeah, my fault. You thought your animation would distract me, didn't you? Yeah, I was kinda hoping it would. Nah, man. Nah. Just roll the video. Anyway, after knowing of Nice's end, I thought she would be sad and all, but she just proceeds to cover it all up like nothing happened. Oh my gosh guys, it's almost as if she's more concerned about the brand than the actual person. She didn't even blink after seeing him grounded and just started dishing out orders like a sous chef. At least we know how strong their perfect relationship was. I mean, you can just tell how much she cared about him from that. Okay, turns out she isn't Nice's girl from the ads, but his manager. Anyway, my boy Ling Ling is bagged up and brought to a secret room where he's questioned. And a week later, he's dolled up and made to become Nice. Well, isn't that nice? Yeah, it is. No, I didn't mean it that way. Oh, forget it. His training continues as usual till it's time to meet his girlfriend Moon for a live TV show. The absolute worst thing that could happen now is for her to call out his bluff. And guess exactly what happens next? Nothing. With all his training, Ling Ling pulls off the meeting without a hitch and they head in for the show together. But of course, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. In a weird turn of events, the real host is replaced by the 250th hero and Lighter, who just wants to see Nice's career crash and burn. This just in, the suspect says he's actually the 249th hero and not the 250th. What a groundbreaking discovery. Anyway, he asks Nice some outrageous questions like,
how many commercials has your girlfriend starred in? And what is their total runtime?
Which Ling Ling just happens to know. And he answers them spectacularly until the last question comes up. Is she your girlfriend? Checkmate. If he says yes, then the lie detector will catch on because he's not nice. No, I mean he's really not nice. But if he says no, then that will ruin his image because he's meant to be nice. What will Ling Ling do in this lose-lose situation? He does the only thing he can do and tells the truth. As it is written, the truth shall set you free. Let's see how that works out for him. He says, Moon isn't my girlfriend. And the audience goes completely bonkers with shock. The host laughs as his goal to ruin Nice had succeeded. But just as he laughs in victory, Ling Ling keeps on speaking. She's not my girlfriend. She's something more than that. She's my goddess. And that is the truth, ladies and gentlemen. So the lie detector says that and the whole world goes, but the host crashes out in anger and summons his final card, Ling Ling's ex-boss, who was fired some time ago and is now bent on destroying Nice. With that, the scene boils as he and Ling Ling start slugging it out.
The type of shit I'm on you wouldn't understand.
The battle rages on with Ling Ling on the losing side, and he starts having doubts about himself, thinking of how much of a fraud he is. And at this point, his internal struggle begins. And depending on the outcome, it can either make or break him. This scene is giving me My Hero Academia chills. These courageous self-talks always hit home, man. In what I can only call a total moment, Ling Ling sees his goddess encouraging him to fight and be the best he can be. And with that, he gains his strength and defeats his opponent. Wait a minute, how was he able to defeat him when he's not actually nice, Ah, look at me. I forgot to say that it's people's trust in heroes that gives them powers. So the more people support you, the more powerful you get. And a lot of people support Nice. Anyway, after the scene is cleaned up, he's taken to his home at the top of Hero Tower. In this place, your home and level of comfort is determined by your ranking. As they get to the top floor, his manager leaves. Then he crashes onto the bed and turns to the side to see what I can only describe as a yeah! Okay, I'm sorry, man. Ling Ling already won, boys. He's just shaking hands at this point. Anyway, he covers her up and tiptoes away to not disturb her sweet dreams, but then turns back to get a little peek. And that little peek reveals her sweet dreams to instead be an eternal slumber. And that's where episode 1 ends. In episode 2, we see the reason behind Enlighter's hatred for Nice, a classic tale of heroes and beauties. He basically wants Moon for himself. But away from that, we see Moon's backstory, how before she became a hero, she was a travel blogger who had a ton of supporters, and their trust in her manifested in the form of teleportation powers. And that's how she became a hero and started fighting off bad guys, and eventually met Nice. Her meeting with Nice was literally drawn out from a fairy tale. The hero saved the beauty, and the beauty fell in love with him. Okay, everything is weird in this episode. First, turns out Moon, who previously passed away, is actually totally fine now. And also her perfect relationship with Nice was a total lie, cause she didn't actually like him and was just under a contract. So now she wants to stop being his girlfriend and start living her life. And her dream weirdly comes true when the manager says she isn't Nice's girlfriend anymore, but his wife. Okay, that was a violation. Why give her hope like that just to jukey juke? Anyway, she's locked in the house with Nice till whenever she agrees to the contract. Man, this should be real too. Some of these so-called celebrities be going through it because of contracts and can't even show it because they don't want to ruin their perfect image or break the contract. Their lives be looking so glamorous from the outside, but inside, they're even worse off than the average person. But back to the story, Moon crashes out and wrecks the whole house while Nice watches her with a love stroke expression. Seems like her imperfections makes him love her even more. Oh, by the way, Moon knows that he's not really nice. I'm not sure when or how she knew, but she does. Anyway, Ling Ling and Moon get deep into talking, and it leads to some of the most real shit I've heard in this show.
Be yourself. You don't need to be nice.
And after that, we get into some even deeper problems with the power systems in this world. Since the hero's powers comes from people's desires, then they can only do what the people want. Like in Moon's case, ever since the people wanted she and Nice to be a couple, she could only ever teleport to him. So she has no free will of her own, and her life is basically controlled by her followers. Since the start, she had no say in the relationship with Nice, and could only do whatever the managers told her to do. And that's how she's been in the relationship for 3 years now. But all this sad backstory still doesn't explain how she came back from the dead though. Anyway, a month later, and Moon still doesn't agree to be Nice's wife, and even threatens to summon Logan Paul. But Ling Ling's genuine love and care for her breaks through her heart and melts it, making her agree to marry him. But on the day of the wedding, as everyone is in a happy and festive mood, someone crashes in and interrupts the moment. Nice's archenemy, Rick. Okay, I might have made a tiny mistake. The guy at the start of the episode wasn't a lighter, but this guy, Rick, who wants Moon for himself.
I'm the one you're after, right?
She's too loud. I'm fucking crazy.
Okay, seems like I got it wrong. Again, he's not here for Moon. He's actually here for and because of Nice. So this is how it is. To free Moon, Ling Ling made up a plan to get a villain to ruin the ceremony and slay Moon. But as always, there's a twist. Turns out the villain had an indescribable relationship with Nice and noticed from the moment Ling Ling spoke that he wasn't him. And we get to see the most epic fight yet because of that. The animation switches are honestly beautiful and really impact the scene, unlike how a just consistent one won't. Back to the fight, Ling Ling lands a hard right on Rex, and we finally get to understand he and Nice's relationship. They were best friends who had dreams of becoming heroes, but they debuted as archenemies as part of the brand. Yo! Everything in this world is just propaganda and a fake. Relationships are fake, rivalries are fake, and let me guess, Even that gat was fake, wasn't it? But real shit, this moment was really emotional. Two best friends will never get to see each other ever again. You're finna making it cry, bro. And also, in the heat of the battle, Moon was fatally injured and just now happens to realize it. And with a few last words, she bleeds out and her eyes shut forever. All according to plan, baby! Yeah! The plan worked. She's free now. But somewhere else, in a dark room, the 250th hero is. I have a name, you know? Oh, sorry. And Lighter is reviewing the scenes from the live show where Nice fought the ad exec. And with some clues like Nice's heart spike when he saw the ad exec, he figures out his real identity at Lin Ling. And just at this moment, he's approached by the greatest enemy of the heroes and the main antagonist of this anime. Remember how I said the heroes gain their power from trust? Well, this being controls the power of fear. If heroes gain their powers from trust, then what do you think fear would do to them? As Enlighter accepts the power of fear, he dies to being the Enlighter and takes on a new name, Lost from Light. Just kidding, he becomes the God Eye. And that's a wrap for this video. If you would like another video just like this, then watch this video. Link in the comments. Omni Army, you too can become a hero.